It all started on a rainy Tuesday afternoon when Meyer stood under the half-broken shelter of the college gate, clutching a worn-out file to her chest, watching the raindrops race down the glass panes. She wasn't supposed to be there, not in that college, not in that city, not in that moment. She was just a scholarship girl from a small town, working part-time at a nearby cafe to afford her rent and books. Her world was simple and quiet, until that day, when fate collided her path with Ethan's. He was everything she wasn't: confident, wealthy, and popular, the kind of person who had people chasing him for his attention. Meyer only knew of him because everyone else talked about him, but she never thought their worlds would touch. That day, however, changed everything. Before we go deeper into Meyer and Ethan's unbelievable story, if you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances, then make sure to like this video, share it with someone you care about, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below to keep supporting more emotional stories like this one. When Meyer met Ethan, it wasn't through some grand romantic moment, it was through a misunderstanding. Ethan stormed into the cafe where Meyer worked, frustrated and desperate, his voice firm but tired. His ex-girlfriend, the daughter of a wealthy business partner, was throwing a lavish birthday party that weekend, and for reasons he couldn't even explain, he needed to prove he'd moved on. He was supposed to bring a girlfriend, but he didn't have one. His pride wouldn't let him show up alone, especially when his ex had already flaunted her new relationship online. And that's when, out of all people, he saw Meyer standing behind the counter, quiet but graceful, with kindness in her eyes that made him pause for a moment. Something about her seemed real in a world full of pretenses. He made an offer she didn't expect: to pretend to be his girlfriend for one evening. Meyer laughed at the absurdity of it, but when she heard how much he was willing to pay, she hesitated. She needed money for her mother's surgery, and her savings were nowhere near enough. It was wrong, it was risky, and yet it felt like her only option. So she agreed. But neither of them knew that a simple deal, meant to last only one night, would turn into a story that would change both their lives. The night of the party felt like a scene straight out of a movie. Meyer wore a simple blue dress Ethan had picked out for her. She looked beautiful, but she didn't realize it. As they entered the grand hall together, whispers spread across the crowd. People stared, not because she was unknown, but because she looked radiant, confident in her simplicity. Ethan, standing beside her, suddenly felt something he hadn't in a long time: peace. She didn't care about his wealth or his reputation. She wasn't pretending to be impressed by him. She just smiled politely, her eyes warm and genuine. As the evening went on, their act felt less like acting. The way she laughed when he whispered something to her, the way he instinctively shielded her from awkward glances, it all seemed real. Even his ex noticed it, how Ethan's smile looked different that night, softer, more honest. By the end of the night, everyone believed their story. But the real surprise came when Ethan started to believe it too. Days turned into weeks, and their fake relationship didn't end. He started finding excuses to see her: coffee meetings, library visits, random errands he could have done himself but didn't. Meyer began to notice how he wasn't the arrogant, cold guy everyone assumed he was. Beneath his confident exterior was someone lonely, someone who had spent years surrounded by people but never truly known. And as much as she tried to remind herself that this was just a deal, her heart began to betray her. She found herself waiting for his messages, smiling at his jokes, caring when he was tired. But not everything was simple. People started talking. Rumors spread that she was using him for his money, that she wasn't good enough for someone like him. Some of his friends even mocked her behind her back. Meyer pretended it didn't bother her, but it did. Every cruel word, every judgmental look chipped away at her confidence. Ethan tried to protect her, but his attempts only made things worse. The more he defended her, the angrier his family became. His father, a strict businessman, confronted him and demanded he end the relationship immediately. He reminded Ethan that his company's reputation couldn't be risked over a girl with nothing. Meyer overheard part of that conversation one night when she visited his office. She stood outside his door, listening to his father belittle her existence, her background, her worth. And when she heard Ethan stay silent, not out of agreement, but confusion and pressure, her heart broke. She quietly walked away that night, leaving a small note on his desk. Thank you for everything, but it's time for me to go back to my reality. Ethan was shattered when he found the note. For the first time in years, he realized he didn't want money, success, or reputation. He just wanted her. He searched for her everywhere, at the cafe, her apartment, the library, but she had disappeared. Days turned into weeks, and the guilt ate him alive. He began to lose focus at work, skip meetings, and spend hours replaying every moment they'd shared. He missed her laughter, her honesty, the calm she brought into his chaotic life. Months passed before fate decided to give him another chance. It was winter when he saw her again, outside the hospital where his mother had been admitted for surgery. Meyer was sitting in the waiting area, still wearing that same old jacket, holding a clipboard and talking gently to an elderly patient. She looked thinner, quieter, but still carried that same kindness in her eyes. She was volunteering part-time there to help families who couldn't afford care. When she finally noticed him, her heart skipped a beat, but she quickly looked away. She didn't want to reopen old wounds. Yet Ethan approached her, not as the rich man he once was, but as someone humbled by loss. His business had suffered, his family ties had grown distant, but he didn't care. All he wanted was a chance to apologize. He told her how much he had changed, how her leaving had forced him to see what truly mattered. He admitted he had fallen for her long before he even realized it. Meyer listened quietly, tears forming in her eyes. She wanted to believe him, but the pain of the past still lingered. It took time, days of genuine effort, small acts of care, and endless apologies, before she began to trust him again. Ethan didn't rush. He simply showed up every day, helping her with the patients, donating quietly to the hospital, never expecting anything in return. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the hospital sky in shades of orange and gold, Meyer finally looked at him and smiled the way she used to, softly, with warmth and forgiveness. Ethan didn't need words to know what it meant. That smile said everything. It said, "I forgive you." It said, "I still care." And in that moment, the fake relationship that once began as a deal had blossomed into something real, something built not on money or appearances, but on love, growth, and redemption. Their journey wasn't perfect. They faced challenges, learned to communicate, and built trust brick by brick. Ethan's father eventually saw the change in his son, how he was calmer, happier, more compassionate, and realized that Meyer had been the reason. Over time, even he began to respect her. The girl who once entered Ethan's life as a stranger hired for a single night became the woman who changed his definition of love. Years later, as Ethan stood beside Meyer at a charity event dedicated to helping underprivileged students, the very kind of students Meyer once was, he couldn't help but think back to that rainy day when he first walked into her cafe. A part of him smiled at how life had come full circle. He had asked her to be his fake girlfriend once, never realizing that she would one day become his real forever. Love, they learned, isn't always about perfection or fairy tales. Sometimes, it's born out of mistakes, misunderstandings, and second chances. It's about choosing someone again and again, even after you've seen their flaws. It's about the courage to apologize, to forgive, and to rebuild. And as they walked hand in hand under the soft drizzle that evening, it felt as if the rain was blessing the new chapter of their story, not washing away the past, but nurturing the seeds of everything they had become. If this story touched your heart, made you believe in love that heals and second chances that save people, then please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who believes in real emotions over appearances. Speech balloon special request. Before you go, drop a comment below. Tell us what part of this story moved you the most, or share a time when love or kindness changed your life. Your words might inspire someone who needs hope today.